My ex blames my current girlfriend for sabotaging our relationship. When my ex-girlfriend, Lily, told me that my current girlfriend, Sandra, had sabotaged our relationship, I didn't know what to believe. It's been a confusing and difficult journey that left me questioning everything. I'm 28 years old, and my ex-girlfriend, Lily, is 29. We were together for 4 years, and during that time, we were extremely happy. We shared so much in common, particularly our love for outdoor activities like hiking and running, and our lifestyles were so compatible that living together for 3 of those 4 years was effortless. We talked often about the future, marriage, kids, and how we'd grow old together. I was even planning to propose over the holidays. Things were perfect, or at least, I thought they were, until they weren't. Around September, I started noticing changes in Lily's behavior. She seemed distant, preoccupied, and increasingly stressed. I tried to talk to her about it, but she insisted everything was fine. I trusted Lily completely. The idea that she might be cheating on me never crossed my mind, but something was definitely off. At the same time, I received a message from Sandra, who was one of Lily's close friends and co-workers. Sandra and I weren't particularly close, but we'd known each other for years through Lily. Sandra asked if we could meet in private because she had something important to discuss with me. I was surprised, but given the tension I'd been feeling in my relationship, I assumed it must be serious, so I agreed to meet her. We met at a small cafe after work. I was nervous, not sure what to expect. Sandra asked me how things were between Lily and me, and I told her that things had been a bit strained recently. She then dropped a bombshell. She said that Lily had confided in her that she was planning to leave me. I was blindsided. We had just been talking about getting married, and now I was hearing that Lily was thinking of breaking up. I asked Sandra if there was someone else, but she assured me that Lily wasn't cheating, she just wasn't sure if she wanted to marry me. Sandra said she felt obligated to tell me because she didn't want me to be blindsided if Lily decided to leave. I was devastated. After that conversation with Sandra, I became obsessed with trying to make our relationship better. I started planning more exciting dates, trying to rekindle the spark I thought we were losing. I became hypertensive to Lily, trying to do everything I could to make her happy. Sandra, meanwhile, continued to check in on me, offering support and telling me more about what Lily had confided in her. I started to rely on Sandra for emotional support during this difficult time, which in hindsight might not have been the best idea. But I was desperate to save my relationship. Then, just before Thanksgiving, Lily told me she wanted to take a break for a month. She said she needed to live alone for a while to figure out if she truly wanted to marry me. I was heartbroken and confused. I asked her if there was someone else, and she denied it, saying she just needed time to make sure she was marrying me out of love, and not just because she was used to being with me. Her request didn't make sense to me. How could she need a break after 4 years of what I thought was a solid, loving relationship? I told her that if she wasn't sure about us after all this time, maybe we should just break up. The conversation escalated into a huge fight, and within a few days, we officially broke up. As our lease was ending, Lily found a new apartment, and I stayed in our old place, removing her name from the lease. After the breakup, I was devastated. I wasn't used to being alone, and our apartment felt empty without her. I didn't want to sink into depression, so I decided to throw a New Year's Eve party and invited some friends, including Sandra. The party was a welcome distraction, and I was grateful for my friends' efforts to cheer me up. Sandra stayed behind after everyone else left to help clean up, and one thing led to another. We ended up hooking up that night. It wasn't something I had planned or even really wanted, but in the moment, it felt good to be close to someone, and Sandra's presence made me feel less lonely. In the days following the party, Sandra and I began hanging out more frequently. She was a comforting presence, and I won't leaving with her made me happy, even though I was still hurting from the breakup with Lily. However, things took a dramatic turn one Sunday morning when Lily showed up at my apartment unannounced. She was furious, banging on my door until I answered. When I opened the door, she started yelling at me, accusing me of cheating on her. I was shocked and tried to explain that I hadn't cheated. She was the one who had broken up with me. But when she saw Sandra in the apartment, her anger intensified. She called Sandra manipulative and accused her of convincing her to take the break in the first place. Lily said that Sandra had been planting doubts in her mind ever since we started talking about marriage, suggesting that she take some time away from me to figure out her feelings. According to Lily, Sandra had even convinced her that I was too controlling to give her the space she needed. I was stunned. I turned to Sandra for an explanation, and she denied everything. She insisted that she had only been there to listen to Lily and support her, not to manipulate her into breaking up with me. Sandra claimed that Lily's doubts were her own and that she had merely suggested taking a break as a way to clear her head. She also admitted to telling me about Lily's doubts because she wanted to give me a chance to make things right before it was too late, but now, I didn't know what to believe. Was Sandra really the caring friend she appeared to be, or had she been sabotaging my relationship with Lily all along? Lily, on the other hand, was devastated. She told me that over the last few weeks, she had come to realize that we were meant to be together, but now she couldn't believe I had moved on so quickly. She felt betrayed not only by me, but also by Sandra, who had been her close friend. I was torn. On one hand, I wanted to believe Lily because I still loved her deeply. But on the other hand, I couldn't ignore the fact that she had broken up with me for no apparent reason and had been distant for months leading up to it. Meanwhile, Sandra had been there for me during one of the lowest points in my life. I began to doubt everything. Was I the one who had emotionally cheated on Lily? Should I have been more honest with her about Sandra's texts and our meetings? Had I moved on too quickly, even though Lily had been the one to break up with me? I was just hurting, and Sandra had been there to support me. But now, everything felt tainted, and I desperately needed advice from someone with a clear mind. After the confrontation with Lily, I made a post on Reddit explaining the situation. I received thousands of comments, most of them calling me an idiot for getting involved with Sandra so soon after the breakup. Reading those comments made me feel even worse, but they also forced me to confront some hard truths about my actions. I decided to distance myself from Sandra and focus on trying to reconcile with Lily. I messaged Lily every day, trying to explain myself and asking for a chance to talk things over, but she didn't respond. I wasn't sure if she had blocked me or was simply ignoring my messages. Meanwhile, Sandra kept reaching out, asking if we could meet and talk things over. I ignored her as well, needing space to figure out my own thoughts. A few days after my post, I finally decided to confront Sandra directly. I messaged her, telling her that I needed to know the truth about everything she had said to Lily. I made it clear that I wanted her to be honest because I would find out if she was lying. Sandra tried to persuade me to meet in person or talk on the phone, but I insisted that she put everything in writing. Eventually, she relented and sent me a long message explaining her side of the story. Sandra claimed that Lily had always spoken highly of me and was excited about our future together. However, when Lily started having doubts about getting married, Sandra said she felt obligated to share those doubts with me, especially after Lily mentioned wanting to take a break. Sandra also insisted that Lily's jealousy over seeing us together was the real reason she wanted to get back with me, not because she truly loved me. I didn't know what to think anymore. Despite everything, I kept messaging Lily every day, hoping she would eventually respond. It was heartbreaking to think that she might never talk to me again. But finally, after what felt like an eternity, Lily replied. She said she wanted to meet and would come to the apartment on Saturday afternoon. I spent the entire day cleaning and preparing for her visit, feeling a mix of guilt, fear, and hope. When Lily arrived, she looked like a shell of her former self, completely broken. We exchanged pleasantries, but it was clear that neither of us was doing well. I started to apologize, but Lily stopped me, asking me to let her speak first. She had brought a small notebook with her and had written down everything she wanted to say. Lily explained that after we talked about getting married, she started feeling overwhelmed by the idea of taking such a big step. She knew these feelings were normal, but instead of discussing them with me, she kept them bottled up, hoping they would go away on their own. When they didn't, she made the mistake of confiding in Sandra. Instead, Lily admitted that she had been wrong not to communicate her concerns directly to me, and that she now regretted her decision to take a break. She also revealed that her parents had a very rocky marriage. Although they stayed together until her mother passed away during the pandemic, they constantly argued, and Lily always felt that her mother didn't love her father. However, her mother was extremely dependent on her father, who knew it and didn't treat her well. Lily had always feared ending up in a similar situation, and these fears resurfaced when we started talking about marriage. Lily then explained how she had started to see some of those same issues in our relationship. For example, when we first met, Lily had a lot of credit card debt and was terrible at managing her money. I had helped her get her finances in order, but over time, I ended up managing all her finances, investments, and more at her request. She said she had become too dependent on me for these things, to the point where she didn't even know where her money was or how it was being managed. She also mentioned that, while we both enjoyed cooking together, whenever I worked late, she completely lost the motivation to cook and would end up eating snacks for dinner. Lily admitted that she felt coddled by me and had grown too comfortable with the luxuries I provided. She had shared these concerns with Sandra, who had suggested that she take some time apart from me to figure out if she was truly ready for marriage. Lily said that when she asked for a break, she had only intended to stay with her best friend for a few weeks, not to break up with me. She knew I was planning to propose during our Christmas trip, and when I reacted badly to her request, she panicked and ended things. After she moved out, she quickly realized she had made a mistake and missed me terribly. However, when she heard from a mutual friend that Sandra had been at the New Year's party, she jumped to the conclusion that Sandra and I had been having an affair all along. Seeing Sandra at my apartment that Sunday morning only confirmed her worst fears. Lily started crying as she explained how hurt and betrayed she felt by both me and Sandra. She admitted that she had been naive to trust Sandra and not talk to me directly about her concerns. Despite everything, she said she still loved me and didn't want to lose me, but she couldn't get past what had happened between me and Sandra. I moved closer to her, trying to offer comfort, but she pulled away. Then she asked me the big question: did I still want to be with her? Without hesitation, I told her that I would do anything to get her back. Lily said she was willing to give our relationship another chance, but she had a few conditions. Her first condition was that I cut off all contact with Sandra. She wanted me to block Sandra on all social media, delete her number, and never speak to her again. If I ever saw Sandra in person, I was to act as if she didn't exist. I agreed without hesitation. Lily's second condition was that we start couples therapy to work through our issues and put our engagement and marriage plans on hold until we were both sure we were ready. I was more than willing to do that too. Finally, she asked that we never talk about the past month again. She made it clear that if I ever joked about us being on a break, she would punch me in the face. It was the first time we both smiled since she arrived, and it felt like a small but important step toward healing. We hugged, and for the first time in weeks, I felt a sense of relief. I asked Lily if she would stay the night, and she agreed. We spent the evening cuddled up on the couch, ordering takeout and watching old episodes of Top Chef. It felt like old times, and I was reminded of how much I loved her and how much I had missed her. The next morning, we talked about our living arrangements. Lily suggested that we move into her new apartment for a fresh start, even though it was much smaller and in a less desirable neighborhood than our old place. I wasn't thrilled about the idea, but I understood where she was coming from. We decided to think it over and talk more about it later. For now, I was just grateful to have her back in my life. Over the next few days, we took things one step at a time. Lily went back to her apartment to get some of her things, and I spent the time reflecting on everything that had happened. I knew that getting back together was just the beginning, had a lot of work to do to rebuild our relationship and regain each other's trust. I also knew that I needed to address the issue of making Lily feel coddled and dependent on me. It wasn't something I had done intentionally, but I could see now how my actions had contributed to her fears about our future together. I was determined to work on myself and be a better partner for Lily. Since then, Lily and I have started seeing a couples counselor, and it's been a challenging but rewarding experience. We've had some difficult conversations, but we're both committed to making things work. Lily has also started individual therapy to address her own issues, and I've been trying to give her more space and not overwhelm her with affection or attention, which was one of the problems in our relationship before. It's not easy, but I'm learning. Sandra, on the other hand, didn't take the breakup well. She tried to contact me several times, but I ignored her messages. Lily blocked her on my phone and all social media, and I had no interest in rekindling that connection. Sandra even went so far as to post old photos of us on Instagram, some of which were intimate, though not explicit. It caused a lot of pain for Lily, and we had to explain to our families and friends what had happened. Thankfully, Lily reported Sandra to HR, and Sandra was transferred to a different department at work. We haven't heard from her since, and I hope it stays that way. In the months that followed, Lily and I continued to work on our relationship. We eventually moved out of our old apartment, which was filled with too many bad memories, and bought a house together in a quiet suburb. It's a new chapter for us, and I'm hopeful that we can build a life together that's even stronger than before. We're still working through some issues, especially around Lily's feelings of dependency and my tendency to take on too much responsibility for her, but we're making progress. I'm trying to help Lily take more interest in our finances and be more independent, though she still struggles with it. But I'm committed to being there for her and supporting her in every way I can. Last Saturday, Lily and I finally got married in a beautiful, intimate ceremony at my father's country club. All our family and friends were there, and it was the happiest day of my life. As I stood at the altar, watching Lily walk down the aisle, I couldn't help but think about everything we had been through to get to this point. It's been a long, difficult journey, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. I'm looking forward to spending the rest of my life with Lily, and I'm confident that we'll look back on this time as just a small bump in the road. I've learned a lot about myself and about what it means to truly love someone, and I'm grateful for the chance to start fresh with the woman I love.